All right, guys. So yesterday you should have taken your lesson quiz for chapter 3, lesson 1 in history. Today, we're now going to be moving on to lesson 2. Now, I know that some of you guys don't have this activity guidebook. Don't worry, we actually aren't going to be using them. So maybe at the end of the year or you guys can do it definitely on your own, but don't worry necessarily about the activity guide. The only one that we definitely need is going to be this one. Make sure you guys have this book. If you don't have that book, don't worry about it. You can also access it online, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that. All right. So you're going to click on the waffle. All right. You are going to click on Savvis Easy Bridge. It's the same place that you go for math. So everybody go ahead and do that now. You need to know how to do it, even if you have your book, because it's going to be where you go to take your social studies history quizzes. So if you haven't taken yours yesterday, make sure you take it. Okay, from here, you can just click right here, Envision Math California Common Core Grade 2. It's fine because it's going to take you to the same website regardless. So always just remember to click that link. Once you guys are opened up in our correct homepage, then what you're going to do is you're going to click on that green picture right here in the corner. It's going to say Social Studies, My World Interactive, and then at the end, it'll say Grade 2. From there, we're going to move on to chapter 3. Lesson 2. And then we're going to start with our e-text. Now, if you're using your book, you can go to the table of contents, look for chapter 3. And then look for lesson 2, which starts on page 80. Go to page 80 if you're in your book. This is page 80 in your book. Okay, page 80, our government.
Lesson 2, our government. Vocabulary, government, constitution, Congress, vote, represent, tax, Supreme Court. Academic vocabulary, interpret, unlock the big question. I will know how my government works.
All right, and that's all we're going to do for today. We're going to skip our jumpstart activity and go straight into what is a government.
What is a government? A government is a group of people who work together to run a community, state, or country. A community government runs a city or town. A state government makes decisions for its communities. A country government works for its citizens. Some schools have a student government, which may help solve problems. Most governments have a constitution, which tells how the government works. The United States Constitution created 3 parts or branches of government. Each part has certain responsibilities. No branch has more power than another, so they work together to get things done.
And so this is the first part of our Constitution of America. Okay, so a government is a group of people who work together to run a community, state, or country. And then governments have constitutions, which tell us how the government will work.
President. The president is the leader of our country. The president lives and works at the White House in Washington, D.C. The president suggests and signs or approves new laws. People who work with the president help to carry out or enforce the laws. They do this by making sure that people obey laws. The president is the leader of the military. Other leaders give advice to the president about important issues. These issues include education, health, and safety. 1. Reading check. Summarize. Highlight responsibilities of the president in yellow. Highlight what the people who work with the president do in pink.
So if you're doing this in your book, you're going to be on page 81. You're going to be on page 81. Let me also write down the pages we're in. So we're on pages 80 to 85 today. page 80 to 85. Now, if you're in your book, it's going to say underline responsibilities of the president. So we're going to highlight that in yellow for us. So what are some responsibilities of the president? Okay, well, he is the leader of our country. The president is the leader of our country. Now, what are some of the responsibilities of being a leader of our country? Okay, he has to live and work at the White House. That's a responsibility. He can't just go anywhere, wherever he wants. The president suggests and signs or approves new laws. So he has to suggest, which means like come up with an idea. He has to sign and approve, which means that he's making it okay for there to be new laws. For example, he's not going to sign a new law that's not going to be helpful to the people. Like he's not going to, the president wouldn't sign a law that says, okay, everybody can, even if it's a red light, they can go and drive their car. No, he would never sign a law like that because that would be very dangerous and that would not make people safe. Now, the next one says in your book on page 81, circle what the people who work with the president do. Now, if you're online, you're going to be highlighting this in pink. If you're in your book, you're going to be circling it, okay? People who work with the president help to carry out or enforce the laws. They do this by making sure that people obey the laws. So if you're in your book, you can go ahead and circle that. The president is the leader of the military. Other leaders give advice to the president about other issues, about important issues. These issues include education, health, and safety. So that is another responsibility of the president. He is the leader of our military. So if you're in your book, you're going to underline. We're going to highlight that in yellow. And then other people who work with the president or other leaders give advice to the president about important issues. And then those important issues can be like education, health, and safety. For example, the reason why you guys are able to work online this year is because there were laws that were passed in our education saying that, you know, it's important for the health and safety of these students that their education is allowed to be given to them online this year. All right, we're going to move on to the next page. So I'm going to turn my book to page 82. We are now learning about Congress.
Congress. Congress is the branch of government that makes and votes on laws. To vote means to make a choice that can be counted. Members of Congress work in the Capitol, a building in Washington, D.C. People in each state vote for their members of Congress. These members represent, or speak for, the people of their state. Look at the chart to learn more about the two parts of Congress. Members of Congress. Senate. 2 senators from every state. 100 senators. Elected every 6 years. House of Representatives.
And the reason why there's 100 senators is because there are 50 states. And so if there's 2 senators per state and there are 50 states, think of it like 50 cents. If you had 2 50-cent coins, then you would have $1, which is 100. So 2 times 50 would be 100, which is why we have 100 senators.
Representatives. Number of people elected from each state is based on how many people live in the state. No more than 435 representatives total, elected every 2 years. Congress is responsible for collecting taxes. A tax is money that is collected by the government from its citizens. Taxes help to pay for government services. Both parts of Congress must vote on a bill before it can become law. Then it is sent to the president. The president may say yes or no to the law. If the president says no, this means Congress has been checked. The president looked at the law and decided it was not good for the country. If the president signs the law, then the president thinks it will help the country. Word-wise. Multiple meaning words. A bill is paper money. A bill is also an idea that is written down for the government to decide on. Quest connection.
There's also another word for a bill. You could also say a bill is like what you have, like the bill of like a duck bill. And it's like that beak that they have.
What might happen if Congress did not make laws for our country? 2. Reading check. Highlight how Congress makes a law in yellow. Highlight how the president checks Congress in pink.
Okay, so if you're in your book, we're on page 83. If we're in your book, you're on page 83. Underline how Congress makes a law. Or if you're in your, if you're online with me, you're going to highlight it in yellow. So how Congress makes a law. So let's go ahead and reread. So Congress is the branch of government that makes and votes on laws. Okay, that tells us that they make the laws, but we want to know how. To vote means to make a choice that can be counted. Members of Congress work in the Capitol. People in each state vote for the members. These members represent or speak for the people of their state. Okay, so that's all about what Congress is. We need to know, how do they make a law? Congress is responsible for collecting taxes. A tax is money that is collected by the government from its citizens, and they help to pay for government services. Taxes help pay for our school. If you guys are using a school Chromebook, if you guys have these books at home, if you guys have a hotspot, if you guys go to school and you guys sit in chairs, or you use the restroom at the school, those are all paid by our tax money. If you've ever been on a road, the road, how it's made, like freeways and all of those things, those are all paid with by tax money, okay? Both parts of Congress must vote on a bill before it can become a law. So how does Congress make a law? They have to vote on a bill before it can become a law. So both parts of Congress must vote on a bill before it can become a law. Then it is sent to the president. If the president says yes, then it becomes a law. So that one, I believe we said highlight in yellow, right? Yep. So they have to vote. So how does Congress make a law? They have to vote on it before it can become a law. Circle how the president checks Congress. The president may say yes or no to the law. Now, if the president says no, so if you're in your book, you're going to be circling that, then that means the Congress has been checked. If the president says no to a law, the Congress has been checked. The president looked at the law and decided it was not good for the country. If the president signs the law, then the president thinks it will help the country. And then there are some fun, there is a fun little video. About how bills become laws. So let's watch that now.
Woo, you sure gotta climb a lot of steps to get to this Capitol building here in Washington. Well, I wonder who that sad little scrap of paper is.
I'm just a bill, yes, I'm only a bill, and I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill. Well, it's a long, long journey to the capital city. It's a long, long wait while I'm sitting in committee, but I know I'll be a law someday. At least I hope and pray that I will, but today I am still just a bill.
So just a little refresher. A bill is basically like a paper that people in our government come up with saying, I think that this would be a really good idea. So I might grab a paper and I might write, okay, on this paper, I'm going to write, I think a great idea would be that every student should be able to go home with a tub of ice cream, because if they get to go home with a tub of ice cream after school, then they'll have something to eat for dessert, and ice cream makes everyone happy. Now that is my bill. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to send that over to Congress. And if Congress thinks it's good, then they're going to sign it and say, okay, that's a good, yeah, we should give every kid ice cream. Then after Congress signs it, that bill is going to go to the president. And the president says, yeah, that's a good bill. Then my bill now becomes a law. And now that it's a law, everybody, all of our students get to get free ice cream. So we're going to see if this bill becomes a law.
Gee, Bill, you certainly have a lot of patience and courage.
Well, I got this far. When I started, I wasn't even a bill. I was just an idea. Some folks back home decided they wanted a law passed, so they called their local congressman, and he said, "You're right, there ought to be a law." Then he sat down and wrote me out and introduced me to...
So this bill is that this is him. This is when this bill was first made. So this bill was that school buses must stop at railroad crossings. And they thought it would be a really good rule because if they don't stop and if a train comes, then all these kids can get really hurt. So for the safety of the school bus, for the students inside of it, and for the trains, they said school bus always must stop at the railroad crossings. And that is actually a law. So this is a spoiler. The bill does become a law because if you guys ever see a school bus driving on the road and there's a railroad, even if the light is green, all school buses have to stop. You might see that. You might see a school bus and it'll stop at the railroad because they have to do that. That's a law.
Congress, and I became a bill. And I'll remain a bill until they decide to make me a law. I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill. And I got as far as Capitol Hill. Well, now I'm stuck in committee, and I'll sit here and wait while a few key congressmen discuss and debate whether they should let me be a law. I hope and pray that they will, but today I am still just a bill.
Listen to those congressmen arguing. Is all that discussion and debate about you?
Yeah, I'm one of the lucky ones. Most bills never even get this far. I hope they decide to report on me favorably, otherwise I may die.
Die?
Yeah, die in committee. Oh, but it looks...
So if it dies, what that means is that that bill, it just goes away. So for example, let's say that I wrote that bill about the ice cream. Well, a lot of people are going to say that's not a very good law to make because maybe some kids can't eat ice cream because they're allergic, or maybe the ice cream is not good. Maybe instead of spending all that money on ice cream, we can actually spend money so that students can get better lunches. Maybe they can get healthier lunches or free lunches. So there's other ways that money can be used, but ice cream does not seem like a good one. So my bill was thrown into the trash. Nobody liked my bill. It was not a very good bill. There's better ways to spend our government taxes, our money. So that my bill, it did not get passed. People voted no on it.
Looks like I'm gonna live. Now I go to the House of Representatives and they vote on me.
If they vote yes, what happens?
Then I go to the Senate and the whole thing starts all over again.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of voting.
I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill. And if they vote for me on Capitol Hill, well, then I'm off to the White House where I'll wait.
So then initially they get passed in the Congress, the senators vote, the House of Representatives vote. Then our friend Bill goes to the White House where he's going to meet the president. And if the president thinks that it's a great law, then he'll pass it, he'll approve it for it to become a law. But there's all these other bills that are waiting too. And the president isn't going to approve all of them.
Waiting online with a lot of other bills for the president to sign. And if he signs me, then I'll be a law.
So then he just got signed and now he is a law.
I hope and pray that he will, but today I am still just a bill.
You mean even if the whole Congress says you should be a law, the president can still say no?
Yes, that's called a veto. If the president vetoes me, I have to
And then in our book, we call it a check.
go back to Congress and they vote on me again, and by that time you're so
By
old.
that time, it's very unlikely that you become a law. It's not easy to become a law, is it?
No, but how I hope and pray that I will, but today I am still just a bill.
He signed your bill. Now you're a law.
Oh, yes.
All right, guys, we do have another video I want to watch, but we might watch it tomorrow. So the next, oops, didn't mean to do that. The next thing we're going to do now is we're going to go to learn about our Supreme Court. So tomorrow we are going to watch another video, another Schoolhouse Rock video. Remind me and I'll make sure we watch it, okay? So we're on page 84. Supreme Court. The court system is another branch of government. State and local courts mainly decide if a law has been broken and, if so, the punishment. Punishments can be you have to pay a fine, you might need to go to jail, there could be, or you might lose your business. There's lots of different punishments if you break a law. National level courts decide between issues between states and laws for the whole country. The Supreme Court is the country's highest court. It makes sure laws are fair by studying and interpreting the Constitution. Sometimes the Supreme Court may check Congress when it says a law is not fair. It may check the president when it says an action taken against, it may check the president when it says an action taken goes against the Constitution. The Supreme Court has 9 justices. The president picks each justice, but the Senate must agree to each choice. The Senate checks the president when it turns down one of the choices to the court. Number 3, reading check. Highlight how the Supreme Court checks Congress in yellow. Highlight how the Senate checks the president in pink. So I'm on page 84. So you're going to be, if you're in your book, you're going to be underlining. Underline how the Supreme Court checks Congress. So the Supreme Court is the country's highest court. It makes sure laws are fair by studying and interpreting the Constitution. Sometimes the Supreme Court may check Congress when it says a law is not fair. So that's how the Supreme Court checks Congress. It checks Congress by saying, okay, well, if that law is not fair, then no, that can't be a law. Supreme Court can basically say, no, that cannot be a law because it is not fair. And then they can veto that law. Highlight how the Senate checks the president. It may check the president when it says an action taken goes against the Constitution. So if the president says something, like the president says, okay, everybody gets, okay, you know what? I don't like it that the students get to tell Miss Park what to dress up as Halloween. I don't think they should have an opinion. So I am the president and no more, the kids can't decide what Miss Park wears for Halloween. Well, the Supreme Court can come in and say, well, our constitutional rights say that people and students are allowed to be free to say what they want. They have the right to their own opinions and they have the right to say what they want. So then they'll tell the president, sorry, president, that can't be your law. You can't make that up because that goes against our constitutional rights. All right, guys. So tomorrow we are going to watch that other video. It's going to be another Schoolhouse Rock video, so remind me. But let's go ahead and do our lesson 2 check. If you're in your book, we're on page 85. Compare and contrast. Think about how each branch of government works with laws. Write what the president does, write what Congress does, and write what the Supreme Court does. Okay, so here's talk about each branch of government. Think about how each branch of government works with laws. So this one, because you have to download the PDF and we're not going to do that, we're just going to talk about it in class, but I'm going to write it in our chat. So if you want to write it down in your books, it'll be in our chat box. Okay. So what does a president do? So let's go back to page 81. The president is the leader of the country. So think about how the branch of governments work with the laws. So the president lives and works in the White House. The president suggests and signs new laws. So that's what they do. Okay. So the president suggests and signs or approves new laws. Okay, that's going to be the first one. Now we have Congress. So I'm typing this in the chat for you guys. For Congress, let's go to page 82. Congress is the branch of government that makes and votes on laws. So Congress makes and votes on laws. Okay, Nathan, no more typing in the chat right now, okay? And then the last one is our Supreme Court, which is going to be page 84, page 84. The court system is another branch of government. State and local courts mainly decide if a law has been broken. National level courts decide issues between states and laws for the whole country. So the Supreme Court is the country's highest court. It makes sure laws are fair by studying and interpreting the Constitution. So what does the Supreme Court do with the law? The Supreme Court makes sure the laws are fair. So the president suggests and signs or approves new laws. Congress makes and votes on laws, and the Supreme Court makes sure that the laws are fair. All right. All right, if you didn't have time to write it down, it is in your chat. But what I'll do is, I know that some of you guys are going to be watching this on YouTube later, and then you won't be able to see it. So what I'll do is I'll copy it, annotate. There we go. So the president suggests and signs or approves new laws. Congress makes and votes on the laws, and the Supreme Court makes sure that laws are fair. Okay, so that's what you guys are going to do. If you need more time, it's in the chat. And then if you're on YouTube, you can pause the video and write that down. All right, I'm going to move on. Okay, we are now going to go to question number 5. Work with classmates. Act out jobs that each branch of government does. Now, for the sake of time, we're not going to do that today, but if we have time tomorrow, we are going to watch another fun video from that's going to talk about the 3 branches of government, and then maybe we can do our acting out then. And then the last one says, number 6, understand the quest connections. Write why Congress makes laws and why it is important. Talk about it with a partner, and we're going to just talk about it with each other. So I'm going to put it in our notebook. So why does Congress make laws and why is it important? So I'm going to go back to page 82 and 83, and I'm going to read that to you, okay? Congress is the branch of government that makes and votes on laws. To vote means to make a choice that can be counted. Members of Congress work in the Capitol, a building in Washington, D.C. People in each state vote for their members of Congress. These members represent or speak for the people of their state. Look at the chart to learn more about the 2 parts of Congress. All right, let's look at 83 now. Congress is responsible for collecting taxes. A tax is money that's collected by the government from its citizens. Taxes help to pay for government services. Both parts of Congress must vote on a bill before it can become a law. Okay, so write why Congress makes laws and why it is important. Then it is sent to the president. The president may say yes or no to the law. If the president says no, this means Congress has been checked. The president looked at the law and decided it was not good for the country. If the president signs the law, then the president thinks it will help the country. So why do Congress make laws? So Congress makes laws to help our country. They want to write laws to help our country. For example, in that video that we watched, the bill was that school buses should stop at railroads. Now, that is a good law. It helps our country because it helps keep our kids safe. So that's why it's important. Congress makes laws to help our country. Now, you can add more. You can add more to it. You can explain like how they help our country. The laws can help our country by keeping people safe, by giving people equal rights, by giving people the ability to have a home, to have education, to be able to have food and water. There's lots of different reasons why Congress makes laws, and it's important because it helps our country and helps the people in our country. I'm going to put this in the chat. If you're on YouTube, you can pause the video. And that's it. The last thing we're going to be doing before we go is going to be our lesson review. And then tomorrow we're going to watch that video and then we can act out the different branches of government. I think that would be super fun. And then we're going to take our test. So I'm going to go back to chapter 3 because I got kicked out. Sorry, chapter 3, lesson 2. And then we're on lesson review, our government. It's the one with the finger under synthesize. All right, instructions. How does the government make laws? Drag each job to the branch or person it matches. So here we've got signs new laws, checks if laws are fair, writes new laws. Okay, well, I know that the Supreme Court makes sure that the laws are fair. They make sure that we do a good job, that they follow our Constitution, and that they're fair for everyone. I would say that the Congress is usually the ones that write the laws. Remember, they send their information to like their House of Representatives and the senators. Most of the laws that are created are made in Congress. They're the ones who write them. Even though the president can suggest them, Congress is usually the one to write them. And then even though they all kind of sign the laws and they vote on it, the president is the one who's going to approve the law. And once the president approves it, then it becomes a new law. Now we have question number 2. So if you're not sure where to go, you can go down here or you can go up here. Okay, choose the best answer to each question. How are the US Senate and the US House of Representatives alike? Both have 100 members. No, the House of Representatives have way more members depending on how large and how many people are in your state. The Senate only has 2 per state, no matter what. Members decide if laws are fair. That is true. It could be B. Both make and vote on laws. That is true. It could be C. Members are elected every 2 years. Nope. The Senate is elected every 6 years. House of Representatives are elected every 2. So which of these? It's either going to be B or C. Well, B would make more sense with the Supreme Court. Supreme Court is the one who sees if laws are fair. So the best answer is going to be C. Both make and vote on laws. Oh, that scared me. I don't know why it did. Okay, now we're going to move on to question 3. You can either click on the check mark and then go from there, or you can click on the blue arrow down here. In what ways are the 2 parts of Congress different? Only Senate members are elected every 6 years? Yes. We talked about that. All right, guys, that is going to be it for social studies.